Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this live stream. I'm sorry I don't have my camera on, but I'm in the South Pacific, and welcome to my channel. My name is Lana. For those of you who don't know me, I am a healer. Most of all, I work. So if you have any questions or own situation or regarding the awakening journey, regarding your experiences, you can do that in the chat. I will be looking at it constantly. So let's see. I hope you guys are feeling well with the energies. We have so much going on and so much coming in these next couple of days. So I wanted to do this life healing before the eclipse because they tend to bring in a little bit of chaos. So it's kind of like a full moon, but it has this spontaneous things can happen, or really powerful changes in really little time. So I wanted to give you all a little bit this new moon cycle. It's very important to, again, integrate the masculine and forgiving their feminine aspects and be balanced in order to receive. So through uniting the both of these principles within us through our lives, and it comes from the core wound of the soul, which is the separation from God, right? So when we come in as individuals or as individual souls as part of this whole, we identify with the part of us. So we feel separated from the whole, when we're actually not, right? But that feeling and that feeling of separation and that first wound has a very big impact on us, and we live it lifetime after lifetime after lifetime every time we reincarnate. So what I see a lot is that we as human beings develop this kind of this absence, or we feel like we are lacking something, that we're lacking a part of something, or that we can even like feel empty, right? And then the beautiful world of relationships comes in, and oftentimes we have relationships, or we engage in relationships with other people, or with the opposite sex, or with the same sex, whatever you are, and with whatever you identify. But we enter, or the way the old paradigm was, is that we would enter this relationship feeling like we were incomplete, or feeling like we were empty. And when you go into a relationship feeling incomplete or empty, and you fixate the completion part in that other person, it brings up a lot of things for you, for the other person, and it brings a lot of pressure, and it puts a lot of energy on the other person, right? So this is like the one-on-one of codependency. But nonetheless, even though we might be evolved and we understand these concepts, at the very core, we are looking to unite with this soul and to be one and to feel this wholeness with that other person. And this sometimes translates in the 3D with like engaging in like having sex, right, with people from the opposite gender or from the same gender, but who have the other polarity. So we start to look for this wholeness and for this union and for this unity outside ourselves. And that's the first thing that I wanted to touch on again today, because I know it's something that many of you are like related are related to this concept. But what I'm trying to point out is that in order to be able to feel this, we have to reconcile our femininity. Has a lot to do with the way we relate to our own feminine aspects and our own, a little bit more of a practical understanding and a physical understanding of these things. Is I want to redefine faults, whatever it is, but just like if you have like a piece of paper and pen, it would be amazing if you can write down maybe 3 or 4 aspects, even 5, um, of what you consider to be feminine and what you consider to be masculine, or the feminine and masculine traits in you. Um, and of course, when you do this, you're going to find that many of these definitions, or many of these sentences that you'll find in your paper, they're going to be related with your parents and with concepts of what feminine and masculine is. So I want you to really like pay attention and see, okay, is my femininity, for example, if you're a woman, does feminine mean for me, right? I don't know, that I wear makeup, or that I am very nurturing and very energy is extremely powerful. But many times we relate femininity to like this, and the same thing goes for men. Sometimes masculinity, we think, oh well, masculine means that I'm super strong and I can hold everything, can be protective but sensitive at the same time, and welcoming, and it can be extremely I want you to think of these principles of what feminine and what masculine mean to you. And when you have written, you would consider, and the same goes for men, for your masculine side. See what parts of your masculine side to you. So, or are these aspects that I had to inherit, or that I believed, and that are now pulling on my energy, or that are now maybe in my way to my own freedom. So we're going to try to locate which aspects in you that you consider feminine or masculine are positive, are nurturing, are supporting you, and which aspects are not supporting you so much, or you feel like they are not supporting you. Because many times while you do this, many times we don't think about what we actually believe. So oftentimes we don't reflect on what we believe about ourselves and how much we actually really stand for those beliefs. Because a lot of the belief systems, and it all happens at the mental level, and it happens through the mental construct. So when you start the awakening journey, or when you discover the twin flame journey, where you discover your spirituality, you start focusing more on your heart, because knowledge, which is something that has always been within you, but you start tapping to it more thanks to being able to silence the mind. So in the meditation space, or in the spiritual path, or when you're becoming spiritual aware, you knew yourself, you start breaking down many of these things that were constructed not by your soul, but by your mind and by the influence of the outside world. And you start waking up into your soul, and you start acting as a soul in a human body, right? And when this happens, all these mental constructs and all these old beliefs, they either make a fight, and you can fight with them quite a while, to fall from your reality, or you can just start to go with the flow, go with the process, and start to let them go. And this can be like a tricky part, because we are used to these old beliefs. We are used to seeing ourselves in a certain way, in a certain light. And even though that light may not be as positive or as flattering for ourselves, it's something that we know. And the ego mind, or the ego, which I always call the little kid, the little child inside, he puts up a fight because he doesn't like the new stuff to come in so quickly, right? So sometimes our soul starts growing and growing and expanding, and our ego is like, what, like, hold on a little bit, I'm maybe not ready for this whole thing to change. I thought this was black and now it's white. So the whole reality, your whole mental constructs and belief systems start to shake a little bit. And this is also something that can happen when you meet your twin flame, or when you meet this person that they help you to have this awakening and to have this understanding. With the lecture, and I really hope you guys are listening and can hear me. And if you can't, please write it on the chat box. I would really appreciate that. Okay. So anyways, right. I don't think I can connect to the chat box. Okay, well, I'm going to continue the way I call it. And it will put up a fight. So the same way as with the twin flame journey, there are many parts of our ego and of the ego construct and of all these beliefs that we inherited and that we made up to be true. That this is why oftentimes we go into what we call the dark night of the soul, right? So the dark night of the soul is basically when the soul has these epiphanies and starts to awaken and starts to integrate and to let go and shedding off. It's like shedding off the skin, um, like the cocoon of a butterfly. So when you're in that darkness, in that void, because of all these things fall away and start to crumble, you feel like your whole world basically is crumbling down. And for many people, this can come with sudden experiences, with accidents, sometimes with sickness, sometimes sick, or traumatic situations, breakups, also long-time relationships, make you look for a new way of understanding life. So basically, that's the the moment that you awaken. You awaken to your soul's knowledge. You awaken to your true path, and you awaken to your heart. So you start operating more from the heart and from compassion and from union with everything than with separation. So the soul kind of wakes people up to start reuniting and integrating with the body, integrating the polarities, and also to start integrating with and communicating. It's the same thing, basically. There are many things that may look a certain way, but the energy behind it is what's really important. So when you can bring things into life through your intention. So for me, the power of intention, also in the healing work that I do, and all healing work, and all um, metaphysical work, and all alchemical work, in all, even in quantum physics, you can see that the intention behind something can completely alter the result. Even though the action itself is the same, or the substance is the same, or the material is the same, the intention behind what you say, what you do, what you think, even what you put out there is super important. And why? Because it basically directs the energy, direction of energy. So one of the things that we learn through the awakening process and through the journey is how to actually use our thoughts and use our minds to help us manifest our intentions. So instead of having thoughts, learn how to master. So it's no longer this negative self-talk or this negative thoughts, which is soul, but it's more to support your soul's path, and your soul is faster. It's like it travels at the speed of light. So if we're talking about energy, when feelings use energy and we direct energy to certain parts in order to heal us, and when we with people, but it's also whether you're in twin flame, your awakened soul, or whether you're just like a soul that is in this process. When you communicate to people, and in the process of communication, the intention behind is very important. The intentions behind what you do, the intentions behind what you say, and the intentions behind even what you think. So this is a concept that I want to bring in for you to start looking at the roots. So for me, the intention, and what you will find is that when you align this intention, when you start identifying the intention or the energy behind everything you do and say and think, you can start to use this power of intention to heal yourself, or to help yourself, or to support yourself in your journey. So you can, through aligning your intention with the divine, with your higher purpose, you can, your higher self is your highest possible outcome. Just the fact that you set the intention, for example, to make it practical, I will, and all my thoughts to the divine will. So when you say something, you put the intention behind that it's the highest, most divine outcome for me today, to my body. The intention behind the most like common things, things that we usually consider not important. But this is something that is a very, very it's like a very secret, ancient tool. And all the ancients and the masters of energy have known this tool, because spirituality is actually not separated from the daily life. This is something that we took on in the modern world. But actually, the divine alignment is your divine flow, it's your divine energy, and it is that part of you that keeps you in sync with everything in your life. And this means relationships. The more power you have to go into all of these situations. And the more you bring in the spiritual and the sacredness to everything you do, say, or think, the more um, you're supporting yourself through the journey. So the more you connect with your soul, and the more you of fear aligned with the divine vibration, they start to fall off your path, and you start to feel them less and less and less, until one day you don't even remember that you had a fear like that, for example. I wanted to share with you so that you can practice this. It takes like 3 seconds before everything you do to be able to do this. So, people in many countries, for example, in India and other places, you can even bless your food. Like, it has been shown that even by blessing your food or the water you drink, it elevates the vibration of the water. And when you drink it, you put this high vibrational water in your body. So it's not like, for example, there are people who they won't do anything, be able to direct the energy of, for example, the crystals. All these tools that healers use, and all these tools that are used in or that were used since ancient times, and that are used, all these objects, they are realize that you don't need anything outside from you, then you can start using things, because they become like, they're like tools. So you have the energy, the master energy, and you start using these tools that make some things easier or faster or things like that. Okay, so like an example is in the art world, right? It doesn't really matter how it was made or what colors it has, but what matters is what that painting makes you feel when you look at it, right? Or when you listen to music, what that piece of music makes you feel, what it brings you to, what it transmits to you. And it doesn't matter what instruments were used to create that. And it doesn't matter how long it took. What has the capability of being transmitted is the energy with which it was created, transmitted in a painting or in a piece of music. In that, everything you do, it can combine will with your highest, most divine part. So you can imagine that you are acting from your God self or your goddess self. So this is why we call the twin flames the divine feminine and the divine masculine, because these are human beings who are conscious and embodying their highest divine nature, their highest divine power and wisdom. So when you act from that stance, when you act like a divine feminine and when you act like a divine masculine, you're using, okay? So I am having troubles. Look, I think it's not. And then I think I will open a new stream, okay? So if you guys want to go with me there, that would be awesome. And then we will start the healing part of today. Okay, I will see you in a bit.